Welcome to the Tarryn Reeves Show, the podcast for elite entrepreneurs, visionary leaders, and high-impact CEOs who are ready to grow their brand, amplify their message, and build a legacy. I'm your host, Tarryn Reeves, multiple international best-selling author, publishing strategist, and founder of Automatic Authority Publishing and Press House. Each week, we dive into powerful conversations with trailblazing entrepreneurs and changemakers who are using storytelling to scale their business and impact. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and get ready for a dose of inspiration, strategy, and the truth behind what it really takes to turn your wisdom into wealth. Welcome back to another episode of the Tarryn Reeves Show. Today, I'm joined by the fabulous Natalie Bullen, who is a wealth identity and authority coach for high-earning entrepreneurs and affluent professionals. As the founder of Unapologetic Wealth, she helps ambitious women move beyond revenue milestones into true wealth, influence, and power. Her work challenges outdated financial narratives and equips first-generation wealth builders to think, decide, and live like the wealthy woman they are becoming. Natalie, welcome to the Tarryn Reeves Show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It is an absolute pleasure. I'm a member of your fabulous Facebook group, and I think that what you're building is truly incredible, and I can't wait to dive in and chat to you about it.
Thank you.
Right, now you call yourself a wealth identity coach. What exactly does that mean, and why is it so much deeper than just hitting a revenue goal in business?
You know, this is what I've settled on, but when I come up with a better term, I'll use it.
Always the way, always.
Right? It's always an iteration. But I used to be a licensed financial advisor. And if you say wealth coach, people think this is someone who's going to manage my investments. So hence the identity part. I also feel like there's an intersection because I can't speak for you, but I grew up middle class. I did not grow up rich. I did not have a trust fund. No one has ever passed away and left me millions and millions of dollars. I bootstrapped this company with my own money. And so people think it's tactics that's going to get them rich. They're going to buy real estate. They're going to have a 6-figure launch. But if you don't know how to hold on to money, like how to manage it, how to prepare it, how to save it, how to protect it with insurance, if your brain tells you to consume and buy, or you're fearful of money, it doesn't matter how much you have, you will make bad decisions with it. Lottery winners prove that for us all the time. We have live case studies on what happens when people jump tax brackets all of a sudden. So I think for me, it's been huge because anybody can make money. You can sell anything. Anything can be sold. I've seen things that were sold that were outrageous, and I'm sure you have as well. And someone bought them. But if you want to actually have what you claim you wanted when you started your business, which for most people is freedom, more time, flexible schedule, to be able to take good care of their kids and their spouse, then you have to get out of just we're going to make money and move into I'm the sort of person with whom money is safe. I'm the type of person with whom money can depend on. I'm the sort of person who can delay gratification to have something more substantial later than something temporary now. So hence how we've settled on wealth identity.
That's so interesting. And there's a few things that I can hear in that kind of explanation that you just gave me, is that this is really work around your subconscious beliefs about money, your nervous system around money, your social and family conditioning around money. Like this is deep work, right?
Very.
So how most people are walking around like zombies, little sheep in the grand system of society that has us ticking along. And they're very unaware of even their most basic thoughts, really. They're kind of consuming. They don't feel good. So they're going to go out and, I don't know, drop $200 on their hair, which no judgment if you've got that, but if you don't have that and you're just doing it for that brief kind of flash in the brain that goes, ooh, endorphins, I feel good now for 5 minutes until you watch the next TV ad or hear the next podcast ad or whatever it is. How does one even become aware of their current relationship with money?
I think most people have to hit rock bottom somewhere.
Mhm.
So if you've gotten to where you have $0 in your business bank account, you've probably sorted, you've probably recognized. But I think at least Americans are slowly kind of waking up to the idea of I have a house full of crap, but I
Mm.
don't own anything. And I'm always having to buy things. And I am no psychologist, but I did read a study where the dopamine hit from buying something new is getting shorter over time.
Mm.
So, where our grandparents might have been able to buy a new car and be happy and proud and content for 5 years, right? We buy a sweater that's $3,000 from Dolce and Gabbana and wear it one time and are already over it. And you
Mm.
see it in children too. They'll get a toy, they'll play with it one time and want another toy. That's not common. My mom grew up in the 1940s and 1950s. She had the same toy 10 years and she was contented with it. So society has also pushed that hamster wheel of purchasing. You can never get off it now. You used to be able to get on, buy something, get off.
Yeah.
And now you have to stay on it. And I think it's catching up to people. The debt, the lack of savings. I think people are waking up thinking, maybe I should do something different, you
Mm.
know? And if you've ever seen your parents fight about money, if you've ever made a lot of money and not known what happened to it, it's one thing to spend, it's another to be surprised at your bank account. Like, I
Mm.
don't go online and think I've got $10,000 and then I look and it's 2,000. That
Yeah.
never happens to me, but I people report that to me so often that
Yeah.
they thought they had more money left, and it's because they weren't even cognizant as they were spending it. So,
Mm.
journaling is a really good place to start. I use this company called 750 Words. It's free.
Okay.
And you can just go to 750words.com and you write 750 words a day and it gamifies it and nudges you and reminds you and you win little prizes and stuff. But every single day, what did you choose for yourself? And
Mm.
even that takes some level of self actualization because I think a lot of us aren't really even aware of what we want for us. We're living out someone else's vision
Mm.
that society has pushed on us. I'm not really all that keen on society. You know what? Society has never paid any of my bills. Isn't that weird? They're always around and they always have this really loud voice, but I've never actually gotten a check from society. I
Mm.
must be missing something. I must be the only person in the world that's like not directly getting paid by the expectations of society. And so as long as my check is lost in the mail, I feel like I should just forget what society wants and do
Mm.
what I want. I think you also have to ask yourself if what you want is uncommon. If the
Mm.
average American can't even put their hands on $1,000 in savings and you want to be a multimillionaire, well, that's uncommon, right? So I would expect to have to do something different if I wanted an uncommon result.
Yeah. I feel like we should just drop the mic right there. Like, I love this. Let's go.
I've thought
100%.
about this a lot, okay?
Yeah, like society is not paying your bills. Your friend's opinion is not paying your bills. And I think that entrepreneurship is one of these things that is so tricky to navigate when it comes to money because of opinions. Because if you are surrounded by a family that is not entrepreneurial, or a partner or a friends that are not entrepreneurial or running their own businesses and are used to the standard model of earning money of you go to work 9 to 5, you get 2 weeks off a year, and then you retire at 70 and then you die, basically. They're sitting there going, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This makes no sense. And they have a lot of opinions around how we as entrepreneurs earn money,
Mhm.
what we should and shouldn't say online. What's your opinion?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the I think when you go into business for yourself, you've got to draw the line in the sand with what you will and won't accept. And
Mm.
I'm not telling you that this is going to be easy or that it's going to come naturally to you or that you're going to wake up with this epiphany and know exactly where to draw it. I
Yep.
think as people interact with you, you will learn where your line is. I have a wonderful Christian, God fearing mother who loves God, doesn't curse, doesn't drink, loves the Lord. If
Mm.
I put the word damn on the internet, my mother is like, you really didn't have to use foul language to get your point across. Right?
Well,
She doesn't
sometimes.
want me to post anything political. She doesn't want me to post anything that's anti-marriage or anti-partnership, even to the degree of telling single women that singlehood is a gift. Like, even saying that, my mother feels like is anti-marriage and that I should not say on the internet because that makes it seem as though God and his views of marriage are wrong. Right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
any little thing that I put on the internet.
yeah.
But I'm online as a thought leader, and
Mhm.
leaders have to lead. Leaders can't be worried about what the followers are. That's not how this works. You're in the front with a megaphone.
Yeah.
So if that's your brand, and maybe it's not your brand, right? My next company will be mostly faceless. I'm going to offer bookkeeping and light CFO services.
Yep.
My prayer
Smart.
is that you never know that I own it. But this business, people know me, and
Mm,
they know that I will say what needs to be said. And so I'm more involved in saying what needs to be said than, does my mother like it? Does my dad like it? Does my church like it? Do my college friends like it? Do my past clients like it? Is everyone going to be in alignment? Because if everybody in the world agrees, baby, it's not thought leadership. It's not even a thought. It's a societal belief. And we all already have that soundtrack. You remember when when iPhone put YouTube CD on everybody's iPhone? It was a
oh,
big thing in the US. YouTube had a CD that just came out, and I guess I don't know, slept with someone at Apple. It was very strange. And they downloaded this CD, and it came preloaded on every iPhone that shipped that year. And it
yeah.
was insane. And we all had to delete it. It was a horrible CD. UT was having like a comeback or something. It was crazy.
Yep.
That's what societal beliefs are. They're literally already downloaded on our hard drive. We don't need new ones. I think you've got to ask yourself, am I more worried about people's opinions, or am I more worried about getting paid? Now, I
100.
am breadwinner, okay? My husband works, but I earn significantly more than he does. And if I don't earn what I earn, then we won't live where we live. We might not live anywhere. And so
Mhm,
I just can't see myself letting someone else's opinion, anybody's, eclipse paying my mortgage.
mhm.
And that's really what it comes down to. Now, if your business is a hobby and it ain't got to make money, and you can frolic in the sunlight and all of your bills get paid through osmosis, baby, I wish you the best. More power to you. Nothing I say is going to feel very relevant. But if your check is what keeps your lights on, I just don't know how you can care.
Mm. Yep.
I just don't have
100.
time to care. Maybe I want to care. I don't have the luxury to care.
Mhm. Mhm. Natalie, I love the fact that you have pointed out the very basic line that nobody talks about thought leadership, because everyone else on social media with a personal brand going, oh, I'm a thought leader in this, I'm a thought leader in this, but they're, excuse my language, pussyfooting around what
Yes.
actually needs to be said. How were you born this way? Have you always been an
Unfortunately.
outspoken opinion? Oh, absolutely not, unfortunately. I love it. I'm
It's
the
so
same.
unfortunate. I have the DNA of feather ruffling. Yeah, no, when I was a child, I would ask adults to read me a story. And if I didn't like how they read it, I would snatch the book away and read it myself. I was a menace. I've always been. So
You're reading it wrong.
it's crazy when I hear the stories from my brothers and my mom, just like, why didn't y'all discipline me? I was off the chain. And they were like, you were gifted, you made straight A's, you didn't get in trouble. We didn't think it was wrong. We just wondered if you'd ever make friends. So it's just here's my belief system.
Mm,
I believe that what's done in the dark comes to light. And I
mm,
believe that the truth is always going to, it's like oil and vinegar. The truth will always separate. So I could pretend to be normal and coddle people whose businesses don't make any money and tell them it's okay. And I could pretend like the US economy is really strong and that we're not drowning in debt. I could pretend like our current, administration is really looking out for the people, and I could do that stuff, but like eventually it's all gonna come out, right? Like it's all going to be illuminated what is true. And I would rather be on the right side of the schism if the schism ever occurs. I also really don't like the statistics that exist. Did you know that Black wealth is set to hit zero by the year 2053?
My goodness. That's
The
horrifying.
net worth of the collective Black population in an entire country, a first world country, let us tell it, is going to hit $0 in our lifetime in 28 years. Now, what would me downplaying the dire urgency of that, not helping people achieve wealth, pretending like there's nothing we can do, what would it really serve, you know? And I think that comes back to being really self-aware. I feel like every human was put here for a purpose. Even if you don't believe in God, I hope you believe that you have a purpose, right? The listener.
Mhm.
And so
Mm,
whatever your purpose is, it's to be a change agent, something, homelessness or domestic violence or poverty. I would hope that there's some cause that you feel strongly called to solve. You're
mm.
not going to solve it pretending like it doesn't exist. That is not how problems get solved. And so I think eventually you just get to a point where you're like, you know what? Everyone's not going to like me for this, and that is okay. There are people who think it's unethical to have profit in your business.
Good Lord.
What do you do with that? And I know it sounds mean, but why would I argue with someone who's going to go out of business anyway? If you
That
have
is
no profit, you're going to go out of business. So there's really no point in me even letting myself get ruffled with you, right? Like, hey, more power to you. You and your profitless business.
mm,
And I
mm,
think that's where most people get stuck, especially women. They want to save and rescue everyone. Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have that trait. Maybe
mm,
because I'm not a mom. I'm actually not the nurturing, lovey type. Like, if you want to fail, fail. There's
mm,
too many people who want to succeed for me to spend all of my time arguing on the internet with people who don't want profit, don't want money, think all rich people are bad. Like, I don't believe that those are narratives worth trying to debunk. If you really want to believe that stuff, nothing I say is going to change your mind anyway. And I
mm.
think living in accordance with my beliefs is probably the strongest thing I could do to change people. Maybe when people meet me when I'm really, really, really rich and they recognize that I'm still a really good, decent person, that would probably shift their belief a lot faster than the alternative, right? Arguing and factoids. Nobody cares about that. Until I'm
Mm.
rich, no one will care. So my goal is to just get really rich and kind of prove to people what that can look like.
Yep. And that right there is the essence of leadership, right? You lead by example, not by, beating people over the ear with you should do this, you should do this. You just go, that's cool. You do you. Good luck. Love you still. Now I'm going to go do my thing. Let's talk purpose. Is your purpose teaching people how to build generational wealth?
I think my purpose is probably showing people that wealth is even possible. Like,
Mm,
ideally, yes, we want people to have generational wealth, but let's be honest, you've got to have personal wealth first. And that is something most of us have not achieved. And before you can have personal wealth, you're going to have financial solvency, which many people do not have. Many people are insolvent. They're only still afloat by the use of credit. Now
mm,
you can have $100,000 in credit card debt, and as long as you make your minimum payments, the world says you're successful, right? I would say that person is insolvent, especially if they don't have enough cash to pay the debt off. I don't care. I don't care what you can pay monthly. If you can't pay it off, there's an issue. So I think for me, it's more, how do people step into having personal wealth? Generational wealth is always the goal, but you got to have it first. And that seems to be the big hurdle. People are more likely to do for their kids than they are to do for themselves. And that's backwards. How
mm,
can you leave a lineage to your children if you have nothing? This is why I get frustrated when parents will take out loans for college. They want to take on all the debt. The kids don't take any debt, they take all the debt. There's no loans for retirement. I'd
mm,
rather the debt be on the child than on the adult. But the adults are like, no, I'd rather give my all. I'd rather deplete my savings. I'm going to give them all my cash. Why? That's
mm.
hustling backwards. That moves the wealth out of the elders' hands and into the younger generation's hands while the elders are still living.
Yeah.
So definitely showcasing to people that they can break from middle classness for
Mm.
sure. Middle class is a curse. People think being impoverished is the worst, but most countries have social safety nets for people who are truly poor. There's not any kind of social safety net for the middle class that I've
Mm,
ever heard of or read. And as a long-standing member of the upper class for most of my life, I never got any benefit.
mm.
And so, how do you decide I want to break from this tax bracket and do something else? That's what I want to do for people.
Brilliant. And what is the first step for the person who is listening, whose business is insolvent, who knows that they have the potential and is self aware enough to
Mhm.
want to move out of the middle class bracket, the hamster wheel that they find themselves on?
Yeah.
What, where do they start?
Look at your numbers. Like,
Hmm.
get really honest. Really honest. Pull your P&L for the last 3 months and assess, was there profit or was there a loss? If there was a loss, was it because your revenue was too low or was it because your expenses were too high? If your expenses are too high, what can you cut? And most of us have too much team, but if your revenue is low, why do you need a lot of team?
Mm,
You wonder why big companies have seasonal hires. That's why. When they have really big seasonal revenue, they hire up, and then when they have regular revenue, they scale down. It might be that your revenue is low. Okay, so what's not working in your marketing and in your sales? Why is your revenue low? And I think that's a shame spiral for people. They have low revenue, they don't know what to do about it. They overspend hiring maybe the wrong coaching program or trying to do their own ads, right? They're spending money maybe not in the right buckets. But business is about a value transfer. You have to be able to show where you can transfer value to a buyer. If buyers don't see the value, that is a problem. You've got to
mm,
fix that problem before you spend any more money on anything. So I would tell that person, what can you cut expense wise, even if it's temporary, especially software. You know, I've had software that I would use for 2 months and then wouldn't use for 6 months. Cut it off. You can
mm.
always come back. Those SaaS companies would love to have you back as a client. They're not going to ban you for the rest of your life because you shut
100.
off the service for a little while. And then look at how you can increase revenue. You know, most people are in one vertical, and when that vertical stops working, they don't move. So if you're a coach or consultant and it's been slow to get private coaching clients, people think, well, there's nothing I can do because no one's interested. Could you license your IP? Could you get a digital product strategy? Could you write a book and use that to get you on stages? Could you be a speaker or a trainer? Is there not some past client that maybe works for a corporation that would pay to have you come in and speak? What could you do to bring up money? I think a lot of times when we're low in cash flow, we get dejected and we just kind of accept our fate and just kind of wait for the train to run us over instead of saying, how can I get curious?
Mm,
How can I get really curious about what exactly is going on and why the money is not in alignment with my divine gift? I have a gift, the money's not here. Where is the disconnect? But most people don't even know these things because they're not looking at their books, they're not looking at their taxes, they're not looking at their cash flow. You have to decide that you are going to look at money, and not being good with numbers or not being good with money is a terrible excuse. That's like
mhm.
having a baby and saying I'm not good at parenting.
None of us
So
are good at parenting.
I'm just gonna neglect my baby because I'm just not all that. I'm not really good with babies. Well, you had a baby. So you're
Yeah.
gonna have to get good with babies.
Yep.
Right? Like that's just what's gonna happen. So if you have a business, you're gonna have to get good at the main parts of business, and finance is, unfortunately for a lot of people, it is the key component of running the business. So step one, look at your numbers. If you
Mhm.
don't have P&L, bookkeeper, QuickBooks, you got to get that resolved because you can't make good decisions without financial data.
Yep. 100%. And as someone who is in the trenches, I am the sole breadwinner in my family. I've got two little kitties.
See?
Um, when and things happen in your personal life as well that
Oh, yeah.
as an entrepreneur, I'm sorry, your business is not separate to your personal life. There's none of this
No.
bull crap work-life balance. It doesn't happen. Sometimes you're more in your business, sometimes you're more in your personal life, and
Right.
sometimes one derails the other. That's just the way it is. And
It's true.
when that stuff happens, yes, your spreadsheets are not sexy. Like, I hate numbers. I hate maths. I don't like it, right? But like you said, I chose to have a baby in the form of a business, which
Right.
means that
So
I have
someone has to be good at the numbers, and
so
until you
I
can pay
hired a
someone,
bookkeeper because
that's
I'm
it.
like, I don't know how to use Xero, which is the accounting software that I
Yeah.
use. I'm like, I don't actually want to spend the time learning because
Good.
it's a choice. You can spend the time learning or you spend the money for someone
Right.
else who has already done it. It's the age-old entrepreneurship. You either spend the
True.
time learning or you spend the money learning. That's the baseline, right?
Yeah. I
So
agree.
I do my spreadsheet every Monday. It's really ugly, but I have funded up. I've
I'm
got
sure
little
it's
colored
fine.
charts. I've got little charts in there to make it visually nicer for me. And I have my accountant. And then you are right about your softwares and things. I love jumping on startups that you pay a lifetime fee for and you never pay the
Yeah.
accounting thing again. My tech stack, and I used to own a virtual assistance and web development company before I moved
Yeah.
into publishing. So I'm all about the systems and the shiny new tech that comes out. And yeah, it's fun to play with, but the smart move is to go, how can I make this as streamlined as possible so that I'm not bleeding money every single month or week or
Yeah.
whatever it is for these subscriptions.
And I
Yeah.
mean, it's powerful to be able to route that money. And what I tell people all the time, business and personal finances should be separate, but for most
Yeah.
people, they aren't. And
Yeah.
so if you're not paying yourself what you want, every extra dollar that you spend in the business is money that could have gone into your pay. That's
Mm,
something that even I had to come to terms with. Like, if I want to buy this $30,000 thing for my business, well, that's $30,000 that could have been a distribution for Natalie,
mm,
right? That could have helped Natalie build wealth and retire faster and buy real estate or buy a chateau or whatever. So everything that is happening in the business, I always have to inquire internally, is this the best use of this money? It's not free money because it's in your business. And I think we've
mm,
kind of been taught that there's been a very big push online that the more you spend, the more empowered you are. And a lot of us are coming down off of a spending hangover that's been going on several years. And we're waking up going, wait, why am I paying my team more than I pay myself? Why do I have all these high priced people on my roster? Why am I in set? I met a woman in 6 coaching programs simultaneously, all
how?
at the same time. And she had booked a sales call with me. And I was like, now what could I possibly add? Right? What could I possibly contribute to a
Yeah.
business that's already got 6 different mentor, coach, consultant, advisor type people?
Like, where is she even finding the time to action those 6 different
And she couldn't have been. And
strategies?
that's why I didn't take her as a client, because I'm like, there's no way you have space for integration. And I find that we are more powerful internally than we think. This is actually part of that wealth identity work. When you are afraid of money, when you have been taught that money is bad, when you have an aversion to having a lot of money or numbers, etc., you get rid of it. So I'll notice people who have bad relationships with money will overspend. They'll have these 6-figure launches, 7-figure launches, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's gone in 2 weekends. They spend it on this mastermind. They spend it on a retreat. They spend it on energy work. They spend it on a whole bunch of team. They pay out tons of affiliates. They pay for all the software, and they're left with peanuts in
Mm,
the end because it felt safer for that money to not be in their bank account. And
mm,
so at some point, you have to see you are the gift. I'm the best thing that Unapologetic Wealth has going for it. Not the ads that we run, not, I mean, my team's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. But my wisdom and my vision is the best thing. That is the competitive advantage. The more money I spend away from that, hiring a whole bunch of people, going in too many different directions, having too many initiatives, the worse off we are. The best thing I did for my company was to take a hiatus and actually hear my own voice again and
Mm,
move forward with the vision that I felt like God gave me. And that is not nearly as expensive as the running that most of us are doing. Running from success, running from greatness, running from having to be the one responsible for having too much money.
Why do you think that we seem to be hardwired to do that? To behave
Consumerism, capitalism,
that way?
consumerism. Capitalism on its face is not bad. It's the reason I'm in business. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I'm only 37. It's not like I'm an old person, but when I was a child, greeting cards were a really small business. You
Yep.
got greeting cards for Mother's Day,
Mhm.
Father's Day, Christmas. Was a big push around Easter. That's about it. When I was a child, that's all I remember. Valentine's Day was big, but in
Mhm.
general, there were only 5 to 6 card buying holidays. Now there are hundreds. I went to Target last week to buy a greeting card, and there was 7 aisles of greeting cards. I mean, they
Wow.
were back to back, but still, like it was down the aisle back, down the aisle back, down the aisle back, and down the aisle again. 7 aisles of greeting cards. They had greeting cards for Easter, for graduation, for Halloween, for just because, for baby shower, for you just got married, you just got engaged, grandparents' day, uncle's day, aunt's day. It was shocking to me. It was so hard. It was so many options. I thought I was in the Hallmark store. I was flabbergasted at
That
the
is next level.
greeting card business. So now the greeting card companies have just found a way to get us buying greeting cards all the time. There's a reason 2-3 times a month now to buy greeting cards when that didn't used to be the case. So you have to keep creating demand.
Mm.
I was in looking for some laundry detergent in Walmart, and I get in the aisle and I see this like sanitizing stuff that you put in the wash. And I was like, is this soap? Is this detergent? And I'm looking at it and I'm turning it over. And then there's this stuff you sprinkle in, some kind of downy, like light seasoning, like actual like scent beads for the
Goodness.
laundry. And I asked the associate, I said, where's just detergent? She said, oh, these are laundry like accessories. The detergent's on another aisle. They have a whole aisle of non-detergent additives that you can put with the detergent to make the laundry either smell a certain way or be sanitized, etc. When I was growing up, the only thing you did was put laundry in there. You didn't laundry and laundry detergent. That's
And
it.
it
There was
wasn't even
one,
fabric softener back
and it
then.
wasn't even fabric softener. It's one
Yeah.
product. Now there's 6 different products that you can put, and all of those things create gunk and buildup. So now you can buy laundry, like a washing machine cleaner, to
Mhm.
clean all the residue from all the additional products that you're putting to clean the laundry.
Or a
This is
new
what
washing
that factory.
machine because they're not designed to last that long at all.
True. I have a really old washing machine, so it's built to last. It's like
Yeah.
one of those before the planned obsolescence, but
My goodness.
it's by design. It's how companies make more money. They just create new products and then they convince us that the way that we've been was not sufficient, that we need these new products to be happy. So we're always on this hamster wheel. This is why it's important for you to recognize how much money do you have? What is your budget? What do you need? And accept that you can't buy everything all at one time. There are so many programs, products, retreats that I want to join, but I am overextended, and I'm overextended for free. I
Yeah.
have my own conference. I have private clients. I do 30 podcast recordings a year. I'm nuts, right? So I
Yeah.
am just and that's just the stuff I can remember. I'm writing a book. I'm launching a public podcast. I have another private podcast coming out. I have a phenomenal community that is in a category that doesn't really exist.
Mm.
So it's taking a lot of push and marketing to kind of get people to wrap their mind around a community that's not a mastermind, it's not coaching, it's not a social club. What is it? Right.
Mm.
So I got way too much going on to willingly buy other things. But I think sometimes when we're sad, when we're lonely, when we don't feel good about the business, when we don't feel good about ourselves and our dark little moments, pull out the credit card, buy
Yeah.
something to make ourselves feel better. And in business, that manifests into quite the expensive habit. So,
Mm.
really being accountable financially to somebody, my bookkeeper is a shark. Okay. She will fuss at me. Like she will watch the transactions and be like, "I'm sorry, what is this? What did you buy? Why did you buy it? Does it have a look period? Can you return it? Like what's going on?" So knowing that there's someone over my shoulder watching to
Mm.
make sure that the money that we said was going to be spent in the forecast is actually what got spent has been useful. Maybe folks need that. There's no shame in my game. I've been in almost every bad financial situation you can think of. So you can't shame me. I have no money shame, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to build an empire and have a business that actually makes me rich, because otherwise I just had a job, a really hard job that I had to build from scratch. And that doesn't sound fun at all, right?
Mm.
Like I could probably go find a six-figure job and work, I don't know, 20% as much.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what I'm excited about. How can I funnel more of this money into my pocket since I'm the
Mhm.
one that's making the sacrifice instead of everyone else's pocket?
Yeah. And that in itself is a mindset shift that I find so many entrepreneurs need to make, because
Yeah.
90% of them are not paying themselves anything and
Yeah,
haven't.
I see that, and it makes me so sad. If you're listening to this and you don't pay yourself anything, start. I don't care if it's $500 a month. You
Yeah.
have to retrain your subconscious that you are important. And
Yeah.
see, you cannot be important to the business if you're not a line item on the P&L.
Mhm.
Everything that's important to the business is a line item either on the P&L or the balance sheet. So if you don't have numbers on either of those documents, you're actually telling your brain that you're not important to this business at all, that you don't matter to this operation, that software is more important. You pay $100 a month for QuickBooks. QuickBooks is more important than you, right?
Mhm.
Like you have to really get into the mechanics. You're not volunteering for your company. You are leading the company. You're a visionary. And maybe this is just me, but I'd be damned if I treat myself worse than an employer would have.
Mm.
How many of us quit jobs because they didn't pay enough and they had no work-life balance? So many people are being abused by their own companies and using the excuse that they own it as the reason. Well, at least I own my company. You own something that loses money and can't pay you anything. That's sad.
Mm.
That is sad. Like you deserve to be compensated, because when you don't compensate yourself, you harm yourself. In the United States, we get Social Security. Your Social Security is based on your 40 highest earning quarters or your 10 highest earning years. So if you go into business, cash out your retirement from your job to start the business and work for free for years and years, your Social Security is going to be nothing. Your retirement is going to be nothing, because your retirement is based on your income. If you don't have an income, you cannot contribute to an IRA. You cannot contribute to a 401k. It is all based on income. So when you opt out of having income, you are saying, I'm okay with being a poor 75-year-old person.
Mm.
And I've met poor 75-year-old people. It is the saddest thing watching elderly people not have the money for groceries, not have money for pharmaceutical interventions, not have $10 for prescriptions. I've had to pay $10, $20 for people's prescriptions in the line because they had to choose between which one they were going to buy.
Yeah.
I would
I
never
so
willingly sign up for that. But when we aren't educated about wealth, we don't know. So people think, well, just for a few years, I'm going to make this sacrifice. But is it ever really a year or two? No. And it also harms the spouse that's paying all the bills, because you're taking time away from your kids and your family to work full time in a business that can't pay you full time wage. So
Mm.
to me, I'm only willing to work full time in my business if my business can pay me a full-time wage. It doesn't have to be lavish, but it needs to be comparable to a job that I could go out and get with my skill set, for sure.
100%. Now, Natalie, you've bootstrapped your company. I've bootstrapped mine. Let's
Yep.
talk bootstrapping very briefly. How does one get out of, because when you first start, you are bootstrapping, right? And we say pay yourself first, but there comes a time where it's like, oh, I've got this tiny little bit and maybe my wage goes down to $5, whatever it is. that week, and I'm doing this, outlaying this money because I don't have the skill set to edit this video, or
Yeah.
I don't know, set up this course platform, whatever it is that
Right.
you don't have the skill set to do, you have to outlay money. And then you perhaps like do all the invest money in a launch,
Yep.
right? And it doesn't go as planned.
Yep.
How do we overcome these challenges when we're bootstrapping our companies? Give us some
I think
practical tips.
I think it's important before you embark in any kind of spend to recognize that everything is an experiment. So often when I meet people whose launches have had issues and it caused them to not be able to make payroll or pay themselves, it's because they were hinging on that launch being successful. And
Mm,
I think that is a mistake.
mhm,
I don't care how many times you've launched anything, you cannot be 100% certain that this conversion event is actually going to be profitable. So I always tell people, have some kind of cash cushion. If clients are paying you money, setting aside even 5% of what they're paying you is so important. Now, I'm
mhm,
team high ticket. I don't run a low ticket business mostly because volume freaks me out. So I'm used to having people pay me 1,000, 2,500, 5,000, sometimes even 10 or 15,000 in one big lump sum. So it
mhm,
can feel easier for me to save because I'm saving right off the top. I usually encourage people get to a savings of 1x the most expensive thing that you sell as a benchmark, because that will relieve some of this pressure of what happens if my launch doesn't work, what happens if I have to pay someone to run my YouTube channel, what
mhm,
happens. So I'm going to
mhm,
say go back to saving, and if you can't save 5 or 10% of what people are paying you, you might not be charging enough, right?
mm,
There might not be enough margin in the offer, because every single offer should have profit. So you should be able to slice some profit right off the top and put into a savings. If that's not the case, there's probably not enough profit in the offer, because when people don't pay themselves, they don't put their pay and compute it into the price of the service. The price of the service is sans any payment to them, which is incorrect because they're spending their time delivering the service. So even if you aren't paying yourself, if you don't price for paying yourself, you can never afford to pay yourself. You're going to have to raise the price to where it could pay you in order to pay you.
oh my goodness.
Two, I think that OPM is overlooked. I had a Stripe loan probably 6 months into my business, and I knew that I could pay it back because I had the sales. So I think if you've got the cash flow, if you've got sales coming in, don't be afraid to say, in order for us to, hire this person we need, or in order for us to pay for marketing, right? We need some cash. Where can we get it? People don't
Mm,
apply for grants nearly as much as they should. So I
yeah.
think make having enough money to run the business be your full-time job. There's only
Mm,
two problems in business. There's either not enough money or not enough time.
yep.
All problems in business fall into one of those two buckets, every single one. So if sales are slow, you don't have enough money. And if you don't have enough money, that should mean you have time. Right? So your full-time
Mm,
job when you don't have clients is, how can I lower costs? How can I streamline operations? How can I increase demand? How can I get leads? How can I close them? When you don't have money, you should have time. Take the time to make the money. Inversely, if you have money, lots of clients, things are busy, but you're strapped on time, that's when you can look at, how can I make my systems simpler? How can I make my business easier? How can I hire people to offload some of the work I'm doing, and stop hiring overpriced help? This is the biggest thing I've probably learned in the last few years. If you need a person on a consistent basis working 20, 30, 40 hours, it's probably cheaper to get an employee. And
mhm,
don't try to convert an online OBM VA type person. Go on LinkedIn, go on Glassdoor, write a job posting, interview people who want to be employees,
mm,
because those people are going to accept an hourly wage that's not equivalent to their big retainer, right? I'll see people paying $5,000-$6,000 a month for 40 or 50 hours of support from these really high level strategic people, but then they have no one to write an email. And I'm like, if you had a person who wanted to work a job and who was willing to work an hourly rate, and you interviewed them, you gave them a test project, and you brought them in as an employee, your cost over time would be so much lower. I wasted
Mm.
tens of thousands of dollars trying to hire consultant type, coach type, OBM type people who would say, oh, I don't mind getting in the weeds. I don't mind doing the work.
Mhm.
The work is not something they really ever wanted to do. They really only want to do the strategy, and you're paying top dollar for that strategy when you really need somebody whose hands are on the keyboard doing the work every day. And if
Mhm.
you're paying 50, 60, 70, 80, $100 an hour for someone to write your emails or build your funnels, you're way overpaying. And people are like, no one's paying $100 an hour. A lot of people are
Yeah.
bundled into these retainers that they're not selling it in an hourly rate, and you've never done the math.
Mm.
So really being careful about, what do I need in this season? Do I need someone to hold me accountable and help me hit my goal? That's a coach. Do I need someone to assess what I've got going on and make recommendations? That's a consultant. Do I need somebody to bounce ideas off of because I don't really know which way to go? That's a thought partner. Or do I need someone to assess my marketing ecosystem and spearhead the launch? Might be a marketing coordinator. So knowing what you need and hiring an appropriate fit at a reasonable cost, that's how you stay in business long enough to bootstrap. That's how you
Mhm.
make it, right? But as long as you're overpaying everybody but yourself, you won't make it.
Yeah. And I find this so funny. I think I have made pretty much every single one of those mistakes that you
Same,
just
same.
have just
These
shared.
are these are life learned mistakes. Let me tell you. The only
100.
mistake I didn't make maybe was I got funding early on. So when I
Mm.
meet people who are like, "Oh, I've been in business 5 years and I've never taken a loan," I'm like, "Yeah, I can't relate to that. I had a loan year 1." But other than that, I've made every mistake.
Mm, yeah, and when you do get into those weeds in those mistakes and you're going, "Oh shit, like what do I do now?" You do have to think outside the box. And you
Yeah,
do have to maybe get a little bit scrappy. And that
yeah,
is what makes a difference, I believe, for a business that truly succeeds is when the leader can think outside the box and they can get scrappy and they make
yeah.
a plan versus the ones who just get further and further and further into debt and still refuse to wave the white flag.
Yeah, you got to do something. I mean, even if it's minor, you'd be surprised. If you've got someone on a $2,500 a month retainer, they'd probably let you pay them $2,000. Obviously, do a little bit less work, but that's $500 bank. You can audit all of your software. You can look at any and all expenses. I've had really high years where we paid a ton of money in financial management and changed to an S corp and had to do some really interesting tax maneuvers. But on a
Mhm.
regular year, we don't need to be paying $1,500 a month for financial management. So,
Yeah.
like, being willing to partner with people and say, this is the level of support I need right now. How
Mm.
much would it cost? And not letting yourself get caught up in ego. That's the real
Mhm.
issue. People's ego won't let them admit that they can't afford something anymore. So they keep trying to pay it to their own detriment. I've met people in masterminds and coaching programs. They're 3, 4, 5 months behind in payments. They don't even have to stay in it, but people knowing that they couldn't afford it or people thinking they couldn't afford it pushes them to stay in these programs
Mm.
longer than they ought to. When money is tight, you got to make it work. And like, often people just aren't strong enough in sales. They're pretty passive.
Mm.
I'll meet people who tell me that they're strapped for cash and I'm like, "Okay, what's your pipeline look like?" I don't have a pipeline. I don't have a CRM. I don't have any leads. You don't have any leads? What's the point of being in business if you don't have any leads? That's like the scariest sentence in business. I don't have any leads. When you built the program, who did you have in mind? Oh no, it's just a program I wanted to do.
Oh, this is like
And so that's what I mean. And so, like, I think, and to the other end, making sure you're serving people who are going to stay in business. I do not serve early stage entrepreneurs one on one. I do have a sales challenge every quarter, and you could be making 2 or 3 or 5K a month and get in
mm,
it. It's $1,000 and it's going to help you sell and message better. It's the appropriate offer. But
yep.
in general, all of my offers are for people who either have at least 6-figure revenue, and some of them are for 6-figure personal income
Mm,
because I do not have the bandwidth or the appropriate program to try to save somebody's business that's losing money every month, that has no clients, has no leads, has no marketing. That's not being mean. It's me saying I don't have a skill set.
Yep.
I'm the wrong coach to hire if you are in a place where it's too expensive. Why would you pay me $3,000 a month that you don't even have for me to give you advice that you probably can't even take because you have no implementers on the team? You see
Mm.
what I mean? Like, I feel like you should put the right people in the right offer. And the smartest thing I did for my cash flow was sell to people with money.
Mhm. Yep.
Sell to people with money who've got enough space to implement and enough team to do the work and enough going for themselves in terms of momentum where I can just tweak and refine. And yes, you can do this with your lead magnet, or yes, I would change that on the website instead of someone you've got to try to pull to success that you pray to God is going to be able to pay your invoice. I'm
Mhm.
not in a position where I can afford for people to not pay my invoices. I don't know if I'll ever be in that position, but I'm damn sure not in that position now. So why would I sell to people that I already see are in duress? And we see
Yep.
it all the time. People build whole business models around people who aren't really in the best place to do the work. And I find that in the beginning, we have to protect ourselves. So, what
Mhm.
can you do to stay afloat the first 5 to 10 years when most businesses go under? And the answer is selling to people who have the financial means and the space and readiness and the company need for your services. That's how you stay in business.
Yep.
Almost every cash flow problem I talk to people, it's usually offer audience mismatch.
Mm.
It's trying to get group A to buy product B when they don't have the money or the understanding or the interest in whatever offer B is. And the
Mm.
CEO is so enamored with the offer, they cannot accept that people don't want to buy it.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just got to kill it.
Yep, you gotta kill your darlings. So, you do work with high earning entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
Is that the biggest myth about money that you see that they like, what is the most common myth about money that you see these women kind of being challenged with?
Um, Women with high revenue businesses usually either think I make a lot, so that gives me the liberty to spend a lot,
Mm.
or it's I earn a lot and I'm going to hoard it in
Mhm.
case the other shoe falls. So it's
Yep.
either YOLO lifestyle or super cautious. I'm terrified. And so like if you think I can make money, I'm going to spend money, what happens when you can't make it? So
Mm.
many people had huge businesses in 2020, 2021. Money was raining out the sky. Everybody bought everything. You didn't need positioning. You didn't need ads. You didn't need a Facebook group. You just went out, you made one post, and people bought it. I lived that life. For most people, that has changed, and things have gotten back to normal. And now you have to have a real funnel and a real system, and you have to nurture people for a considerable amount of time to be able to get them to pay you money. And so, a lot of people who've been in that kind of you only live once thing, they're used to spin a check and get it right back, and now they can't get it right back.
Mhm.
I think true high earning entrepreneurs have moved off of business altogether and are thinking to themselves, what's next? I already have a business that makes money. I have a funnel that's a well oiled machine. I have employees. So, what is my next step? And that's being able to have true community. I can say personally that I'm tired of being in transactional communities where people only invite me in because they either think I have money and I'm going to buy their stuff,
Mhm.
or they're looking for me to mentor or coach or lead or contribute in some way to this community, right? So I get in there and they're like, great, Nat's here. Nat, tell everybody that thing that you told us about the economic changes in China. And I'm like, I didn't know I was on.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what we were doing here. So that's what I'm seeing, a big push for people who have earned the money. They're now looking, how can I rest more? I'm seeing a huge shift from professional development to personal development. Rest
Mm.
coaches, sex coaches, retreats, communities like my Cashmere Club, where people
Mm.
can just be and they don't have to be expected to be on or facilitate conversations. They can just have dialogue about the things that are of interest to them with other people who get it, that won't be jealous of their money. So I think that's what we're going to see is a resurgence of the non-business coach because for years, everybody tried to shoehorn everything they did and call it business coaching. You're a
Mhm.
sales coach, business coach. You are ad strategist, business coach. You are marriage, whatever, business coach. And you will see everybody try to tie, it didn't matter what they do. They could be an alopecia specialist. They
Yep.
say, I'm going to make you a wig. So when you go out on stage in your business,
You
I mean,
look
it didn't matter what people. So it could be a gut health strategist. They're like, did you know when your gut is off that your entrepreneurial revenue drops 10%? I mean, it was obscene. There was no niche that was safe. None of them. The perimenopausal people were calling themselves business hormonal strategists. I mean, it was terrible. And so I think we're going to get back to a normal vernacular where
Yep.
people are not just choosing abstract, crazy words that somehow meant business. And I think we're going to recognize if you sell a non-business item, it has to come out of people's personal income, and you're going to
Mhm.
have to sell to a much higher qualified person than you used to. That's the biggest shift that has happened. And I've run into this issue. I used to coach people who were lower revenue businesses because I didn't know they were lower revenue businesses because they were paying my fee, and my
Mm.
fee was expensive.
Yep.
Right. And so now we've kind of had a resurgence of, I think things have become more balanced. And so I think the business owners who need to make more money are waking up and recognizing, if I don't get my sales together and get in a program where I learn how to market and sell and position my stuff, I need to do something else. I think the people who are used to overspending are waking up and realizing this is incredibly risky and I need to have a cash reserve. Unapologetic Wealth has 6-figure cash reserves.
Yep.
So I'm not terrified if a launch doesn't work. I can make payroll on the first. It's not a problem. We have time to retool, try again, try again, try again. It's not a dire urgency. And I think people who are making money are going to get away from these heavy-handed, pushy business communities altogether and start seeking out refuge to create social wealth and emotional wealth and mental wealth and relational wealth, not just financial wealth, because they've already achieved that.
Mm. Yep. So true. Nat, what does it mean to build wealth unapologetically in a world that often tells us women that we must stay small?
Not giving a damn about other people's opinions. People are not going to like me when I get rich. And
Yep.
I'm not saying that in jest. I mean it.
Mm.
Tarryn, people are going to turn on me. All
Yep.
these wonderful comments that you see on my page. We love Natalie. You've never seen a derogatory comment on my page. It's not because I delete them. It's because they don't happen.
Yep.
You follow me up. You've never seen a person go, I hate her. Her page is so this and that. You'll never see it. When I get rich to the level that people determine is too much,
Mm-hmm.
all of that will turn. All of it. You just
Yeah.
have to accept it. And so I think being unapologetic is saying, I want to be really rich and I'm not going to tell you I'm sorry about it. I'm not going to justify it with philanthropic efforts. That's what they want rich people to do, right? That's what people want. People want me to say, I want to have a net worth of $100 million so that I can end homelessness, so that I can end hunger, so that I can give to the children in Africa, so I can start 12 nonprofits, so I can give it all away. That's what people want me to say. If I say I want to get really rich so I can live like the Kardashians, get my face full of Botox and fillers, get a BBL, travel to Monaco to see the races, get custom made beautiful clothes by the most famous Italian designers, drive around in expensive luxury cars, have a home on every continent, and eat lavish food. I want to have a butler and a maid and a chef and a chauffeur. The comments would be so hate-filled, we would have to turn them off.
Yep. That is
So
true.
you kind of got to accept that there's a point where people gonna stop liking you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the point that they feel like you're doing better than them.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
got my
point.
first hater last week on TikTok, and I was like, huh. And
Yeah.
I was like, should I be upset about this? And I think I was
No, you should be proud.
5 minutes. And
Yeah,
then
you should be proud.
I was like, you
It's a
haven't
flex.
even read my book. I can tell you haven't even read my book. Anyway.
Well, but I mean,
I
and it's
I didn't say what I wanted to say back. I just gracefully let it go because I probably would have made them cry if I'd wanted to say
Oh,
what I
that's
said
so
back.
kind. I don't have that skill. Here's my thing too, especially being Black, people expect Black women to be poor.
Mm,
And I don't say this in a shady way. Listeners, don't take this shady. Black women are expected to only make content that serves the lower income masses. When Black women's covers on the face of a money book, what's it about? Budgeting, saving, credit repair. Think
mm.
about it. When
Yep.
Black women have a platform about money, it is almost always financial literacy. It's almost always helping people with very low incomes to start trying to scrape by.
Mhm.
Almost always. And I've done financial literacy. I've done the work. Okay. For y'all come for me, I've done way more free financial literacy presentations than anybody who's ever hated on me.
Yep.
But you never see Black women talk about hedge funds, private equity, REITs, syndication deals. As soon as you start talking about that, then all of a sudden it's an issue, right? My Cashmere Club, you have to have at least 150,000 personal income. The
Mhm.
women in there usually make between 150 and 500K personal income. That's payment to them. That's not revenue. And
Yep.
I have already started getting quiet backlash of, well, other women need a space. Middle class women need a space. They absolutely do. And they probably already exist because the middle class is huge.
Mhm.
Right? But don't wealthy people or emerging affluent women, don't they deserve a space too? Why do we decide that people with money suddenly aren't human anymore and they have way less problems and way less need for community? I've never felt lonelier than when I made more money. Let me tell you, when I was poor, I had so many social connections. We would all commiserate together about how poor we were. We would celebrate on payday because we were so happy to get paid, and we'd order pizza and we'd be full for the first time in 3 or 4 days. Okay. We'd work overtime together. We had love and friendship. My friendships have halved and halved and halved again
Mhm.
since I've been more successful. So it's
Yep.
completely ludicrous that a person with money stops being a human. And I'm telling you, if I was outward going, I'm trying to budget, I have my envelope system, I'm only spending $42 a day, that content would be viral. People would love it. But as soon
Yep.
as you come out and say, this is how we're building wealth, this is how we're moving forward, this is how we're, breaking, I watch like Instagram influencers when they have like custom homes or when they get like the platelets, like the
Mhm.
like injections in their face. The comments are always very shocking. And it's almost always a color line because when
Mhm.
white people come out and say, I want to be rich, there's not nearly the level of hatred,
Mm.
especially white men. White men spend money on cigars, yachts, 30-year-olds when they're 95. I mean, and no one I've never seen a post complaining about how expensive cigars are.
Mhm.
Something you literally smoke to ash. Why do you care if I buy a $20,000 Birkin bag when there's a guy literally smoking $20,000 worth of cigars on a yacht into ash? At least I have a purse to show for it. All he's going to have is cancer.
Yeah.
You're never going to see that. And so, like, when being unapologetic means you accept up front that people are going to hate on you and that you just going to do it anyway.
I love that. And Nat, you have a book coming out, I believe. I have heard on the grapevine. Give us a sneak peek. What are you doing?
Oh man, I finally had to accept that I have to write more than one book. Thank
Yes.
God for my book coach, Lauren Marie Fleming, because I was trying to put all this goodness into one book and she was like, you're insane. That's just not going to work out. It's just not what's going to happen. So I'm going to write three. And the
Amazing.
first one is salesy or broke. We've truncated it from you can be salesy or you can be broke. I felt like that was too long for a
That's
title. So yeah, so we're doing salesy or broke with a cute little tagline. But in short, it's hey, salesy is actually a compliment. What
Yeah.
if you decided that selling people your solution, your belief system, right? In the time we've been on this podcast, I've sold people on two distinct beliefs. One, that it is possible for them to make more money in the business they already have. And two, that being wealthy does not have to be shitty. It can actually be really exciting. And it's totally possible for them, even if they do not fit the norm or the mold of what wealth means.
Mhm.
right? That's
Yeah.
what I want in this book. And so the manuscript is 95% there. It's got 30 something thousand odd words, and it just needs a little polish before it gets greenlit, and then it can start going through the editors. I already have a hybrid publisher that I'm working with. So I'm super excited. And then the next book will be a money book.
Mhm.
Probably Move Like Money Loves You.
Ooh, nice title.
Because I feel like that's really what you want to do, because I've been middle class most of my life, and I've had the mindset that I'm going to be rich regardless. My current
Mhm.
circumstance has never made a bearing on me deciding what I get to have.
Yep.
Most people look at their bank account and go, I have $2,000. I'm never going to be rich. I have $200. I'm never going to be rich. I have $50,000 in credit card. I don't care what my current situation is. That actually doesn't matter to me at all, because it has nothing to do with my end goal. And my end goal is that I am going to be incredibly wealthy and be able to do so much good for
Mm,
myself and for others. It's ordained, it's destined. Wealth is my birthright. So I'm
yep.
not really all that concerned about what I have now, because God can do anything, anytime, anywhere for anybody. Like,
Mhm.
time means nothing to the universe. Our lives are just like a grain of sand in the desert
Yep.
of the infinite wonder of the world. So I feel like that book is gonna like change lives. But Sales Your Broke is gonna be huge, and it's gonna keep me from having to fuss at people about sales anymore. Because
Mhm.
now when people ask me ridiculous questions on Facebook, like, Natalie, how can I sell without being salesy? The answer is you can't.
No.
Anyway, I won't have to answer that anymore. I can just send them a link to the book.
Yep.
So I can solve the 10 hours a month that I spend fussing at people about sales, which is a fundamental task in every business. So I'm not really sure why people try to negotiate it. I've never figured out why people try to like sidestep. They're like, well, I'm going to stay in business, but what if I didn't sell? How could that work? It's like, it can't.
No.
So I'll keep you all posted. I fought against having a sales book because I'm like, well, I'm a wealth person, but I really think sales is a wealth practice. I really think getting
100%.
into the mindset that more people need to know about your genius, and that you have a moral obligation as an expert to make offers that change people's lives. I actually do think it's a wealth practice. So I feel good about it. I feel aligned.
Yep. Amazing. I can't wait for those to come out. I have been checking the group going, is this
Yes,
out yet?
it's
When is
happening.
it coming out?
It's happening. The book, I went on a writing retreat. I wrote the book. It's happening, happening, happening. It's been years in the making. And it wouldn't have taken so long if I would have stopped being stubborn, but stubborn's in my DNA. So there you have it.
That's why we get along so well, I think. Now, speaking of books, we have a tradition on this podcast, Nat, called the book drop. What book has impacted you either personally or professionally that you would recommend to everyone?
It's unusual, but I'm going to
Mm.
go with The Alchemist.
Oh, brilliant book.
I'm
Yep.
going to go with The
Right.
Alchemist, especially if you are not woo. So if
Mm,
you are not woo or spiritual in any way, I want to highly encourage you. If you're a pragmatic, practical, everything happens because of a result of our hard work type person, you need to read it, because it affirms that wealth is personal, not just financial. Like
mm,
Santiago, the protagonist, and his version of wealth has nothing to do with just making money, right?
yep.
And he also makes like a break from his lineage. Like, there was a life laid out for our protagonist that he was supposed to have: a humble, planned, safe, comfortable life. And he left it to go on this journey to get something else. Is that not what every first generation wealth builder is doing? Is that not the exact tension that we're having? We left good paying jobs with benefits to break free on a journey to possibly get something else. We had something guaranteed. The human brain hates risk, and it
Mhm.
hates loss, and it will do anything to avoid it. Do you know what kind of resilient, champion, courageous, badass person you have to be to leave a certain amount of money in a trek, a journey of maybe possibly finding a treasure somewhere in the desert? And that's what all of us have done. So I feel like it is a testament to what we are all going through. And there's so many lessons in it, but get the audiobook. The gentleman who narrates it just gives me chills. He's the exact right person, and he has the
Yeah.
right accent for this desert kind of landscape, right? It's Middle Eastern set, but it's something I read or listen to every single year in January as a refresh to remind myself that there's so much there that maybe we don't see right now. But just because I don't see it right now doesn't mean that I won't have it or that it isn't real, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It is a brilliant book, and you make such valid points with it, Nat. I haven't actually thought about it like that before. So thank you for sharing a
Yeah.
fresh perspective on pretty much everything during our conversation. It has been an absolute pleasure. I feel like we need like part 2 and 3. Maybe when your book comes out, we'll have to catch
Yes.
up again.
Yes, that will incentivize me because I need to do a book tour. I'm just gonna tell you
Oh,
right now, I need like 500 pre-order copies. So trust, I'm gonna be tapping everybody. I need y'all to bulk order. I need, yeah,
Yeah, I'll share it with my community. And if you
yeah.
need someone to book tour you here in Australia, I got your back.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, don't you worry. When this book comes out, trust me, I need everybody. I'm calling every favor I've ever had because with books, you have to prove that people want to read it. Like there's a really big, there's
Yep.
if you can't get the pre-orders, the fate of the book is probably not the fate that you want.
Yep. Or it's to think a book is just a product of your business. It's a business asset. You have to market it.
That's
Just
a
like
good point.
you have to get salesy.
Yeah,
That's
you have to get salesy. And I think people are like, well, if someone reads it, they read. No, damn it. Y'all are going to read the
you
book. I
put
gave it
that
a
in a book funnel and you put that as your front end offer. Like, come on.
true. Right. Everyone's going to see the book. It's when they go to the site, it's a pop up. You can't
Yep.
buy anything else. Wait, before you go, don't you want my book? Like,
It is the fastest way to turn cold leads into warm leads like that. Build
you
those
know
relationships.
what? That's what I have heard. So I'm really excited about the idea because I've never had a book.
Yep.
And so this is very new territory for me, but I am scare-sighted.
Well, I'm excited for you. Natalie, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
You are welcome.
Thanks for tuning in to the Tarryn Reeves Show. If today's episode lit a fire in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a story that could transform your business. If you're ready to write the book that positions you as the go-to authority in your industry, visit automaticauthority.com to find out how we can help you make it happen. Until next time, keep owning your story, leading with impact, and building a legacy.